close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world unlike anything you have ever seen. There are no cities, no roads, no towering buildings, and no technology. There are no kingdoms, no written languages, and no civilization. The earth belonged to nature alone. Endless African grasslands stretched beyond the horizon. Dense forests covered the land. Volcanoes thundered in the distance, and every sunrise marked the beginning of another battle for survival. This was the world millions of years ago, a world where our earliest ancestors had only one goal: to survive. Every single day began with uncertainty. Before the sun fully rose, small groups of early humans left the safety of rocky shelters and ancient trees in search of food. They had no metal weapons, no farms, and no permanent homes. Their only tools were sharpened stones, wooden spears, quick thinking, and the strength of working together. But they were not the rulers of this world. They were surrounded by deadly predators. Giant, saber-toothed cats silently stalked through the tall grass. Packs of prehistoric hyenas waited for the weak to fall behind. Massive crocodiles lurked beneath muddy rivers, while enormous snakes hid among the trees. Every sound in the wilderness could mean danger. One mistake, one careless step, could mean the end. As the morning sun painted the African plains with golden light, a small tribe carefully moved across the landscape. The strongest hunters walked in front, scanning the horizon for signs of food or danger. Mothers carried their children close, never letting them wander too far. Every member of the tribe depended on one another. Suddenly, one of the hunters stopped. Fresh footprints, large footprints. The tribe gathered around them in complete silence. Were they following a giant prehistoric deer, or were they walking directly into the territory of a deadly predator? No one knew. The air became heavy with tension. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. The tribe had escaped death once again. But survival alone was never enough. As the seasons changed, food became harder to find. Rivers dried up under the scorching African sun, and many animals migrated across vast distances. The early humans had no choice but to follow. Every journey into the unknown tested their courage, endurance, and intelligence. Day after day, they observed the world around them. They watched birds build nests with remarkable precision. They noticed wolves hunting together in perfect coordination. They learned that every animal had a pattern, every season had a rhythm, and every mistake carried a painful lesson. Slowly, their minds began to change. They were no longer reacting to danger. They were beginning to predict it. One afternoon, dark clouds gathered across the sky. Thunder shook the ground, and powerful lightning struck an ancient tree. Within seconds, bright orange flames burst into the air. The frightened tribe ran as fast as they could, believing the fire was a monster sent by nature itself. For hours they watched from a safe distance. The flames consumed dry grass and fallen branches, while frightened animals fled into the wilderness. The fire seemed unstoppable, yet as the rain continued to fall, the flames slowly disappeared. When the storm ended, curiosity overcame fear. The bravest members of the tribe cautiously approached the burned forest. The ground was black with ash, but something had changed. The roasted remains of small animals gave off a rich aroma, unlike anything they had ever experienced. One hunter carefully tasted the cooked meat. It was softer, warmer, easier to chew. Without realizing it, they had discovered one of the greatest turning points in human history. From that day forward, they began searching for ways to keep fire alive. They carried glowing branches from one campsite to another, protecting the precious flames from wind and rain. Every night, the fire became the center of the tribe. Fire had transformed the tribe, but surviving in the prehistoric world still demanded incredible courage. As generations passed, the climate continued to change. Vast grasslands expanded across Africa, forcing animals to travel farther in search of food and water. To survive, early humans had to follow these migrating herds into unfamiliar and dangerous lands. The old way of scavenging was no longer enough. They needed to become hunters. At first, every hunt ended in failure. Their wooden spears were too weak, their movements too slow, and the giant animals they chased were stronger and faster than they could ever imagine. Many hunters returned with injuries, while others never returned at all. Yet they refused to give up. Instead of relying on strength alone, they began relying on something even more powerful: teamwork. The hunters carefully studied animal behavior. They noticed that mammoths always traveled together. Giant deer followed the same migration routes every season. Wild horses reacted quickly to sudden noises, while enormous bison could be frightened into running towards steep cliffs. Nature itself became their greatest teacher. Soon, every member of the tribe had a role. The strongest hunters carried heavy spears. The fastest runners chased frightened animals toward hidden traps. The elders remembered migration paths and safe water sources. The women gathered edible plants, cared for children, and shared valuable knowledge about healing herbs and poisonous berries. Even the youngest children observed everything around them, learning the skills they would one day need to survive. One cold morning, the tribe spotted a massive prehistoric bison grazing near a valley. This would be their biggest hunt yet. Silently, they spread out across the landscape. Every movement was carefully planned. Every heartbeat echoed with anticipation. One hunter threw the first spear. The startled animal charged forward with incredible force. Dust Expo. The success of hunting gave the tribe hope. But nature was always changing. Years passed, and the land they had called home slowly began to transform. Long periods of drought dried up rivers that had once provided life. Forests became open grasslands, and many of the great herds disappeared beyond the horizon. The tribe faced a difficult choice: stay and risk starvation, or leave everything behind in search of a better future. For the first time in their history, they chose to migrate. The journey was unlike anything they had ever experienced. Families walked for weeks across endless plains beneath the burning African sun. Every step carried uncertainty. There were no paths to follow, no maps to guide them, and no guarantee that food or water waited ahead. The youngest children grew tired quickly. The elders struggled to keep pace. Yet no one was left behind. The strongest members carried supplies, while others helped the elderly and protected the children. Survival had become more than individual strength. It depended on compassion, cooperation, and shared responsibility. Along the way, they crossed roaring rivers filled with enormous crocodiles. They climbed towering cliffs that overlooked vast valleys where mammoths, giant antelope, and wild horses roamed freely. At night, the stars became their silent guide, helping them travel across unfamiliar lands. With every season, they encountered new environments. Dense rainforests echoed with strange animal calls. Open savannas stretched farther than the eye could see. Rocky mountains challenged every step. Each new landscape forced them to adapt once again. As the years passed, their understanding of the natural world grew deeper. They learned where fresh water could be found, which plants healed wounds, and how changing weather influenced the movement of animals. Knowledge was becoming humanity's greatest survival tool. The tribe also began forming stronger social bonds. Experienced elders Tao. For countless generations, humanity had wandered across forests, mountains, rivers, and endless grasslands. Every journey had made them stronger. Every challenge had made them wiser. By now, early humans were no longer simply surviving. They were beginning to shape the world around them. The stone tools they once used for basic survival had become sharper, stronger, and more specialized. Hunters crafted powerful spears for large animals, while others made cutting tools to prepare food and animal hides. Every invention made daily life a little easier. Communication also continued to evolve. Simple sounds gradually became meaningful expressions. Gestures turned into shared signals. Families could now pass knowledge more effectively, teaching children the lessons learned through generations of experience. This ability to share ideas became humanity's greatest advantage. The tribe no longer depended only on instinct. They depended on knowledge. Around the evening fire, Elders told stories of dangerous hunts, great migrations, and powerful predators. These stories were more than entertainment. They were lessons that helped the next generation avoid mistakes and survive in a harsh world. Soon, another remarkable change appeared. Instead of moving constantly, some groups began returning to the same safe locations year after year. These places offered fresh water, shelter, and reliable food sources. Temporary camps slowly became seasonal homes. Families built stronger shelters using wood, stone, branches, and animal skins. They stored useful tools, protected valuable resources, and created safer places for children to grow. Life was becoming more organized. The bond between families grew stronger. People cared not only for themselves, but for the future of the entire community. As populations slowly increased, different groups encountered one another. Sometimes they competed for hunting grounds. Other times they exchanged knowledge, tools, and survival technique. Millions of years have passed since our earliest ancestors took their first uncertain steps across the African wilderness. The dangerous world they once knew has disappeared. The giant predators that ruled the plains are gone. The volcanoes that shaped the landscape have grown silent. Yet one thing has never changed: the unstoppable human desire to explore, learn, and adapt. Generation after generation, our ancestors continued to evolve. Their bodies became stronger, their minds became more complex, and their ability to solve problems reached heights no other species had ever achieved. What began with a simple stone tool eventually led to incredible inventions. The discovery of fire transformed into the mastery of metal. Small family camps became thriving villages. Villages grew into powerful cities. Those cities became the foundations of great civilizations that changed the course of history forever. People learned to grow crops instead of searching endlessly for food. They domesticated animals that once frightened them. They built homes that lasted for generations. They created trade routes connecting distant lands and shared ideas that accelerated human progress. With every passing century, knowledge spread faster than ever before. Humans developed writing to preserve their stories. They studied the stars to understand the universe. They crossed vast oceans in search of new worlds. They built monuments that still stand today as symbols of determination and imagination. But despite all these extraordinary achievements, the greatest tool humanity ever possessed was never stone, fire, or metal. It was the human mind. Curiosity inspired discovery. Cooperation created civilization. Compassion strengthened communities. And imagination allowed humans to dream beyond the limits of the world they could see. The same courage that once helped a small prehistoric tribe survive a dangerous hunt now drives astronauts into space, scientists toward G. As the sun rises over the African savanna, it shines on the same land where our story first began. Millions of years ago, our ancestors walked these plains with nothing more than courage, determination, and hope. They had no idea that their struggle for survival would one day shape the future of an entire planet. Every footprint they left behind became part of a journey unlike any other in Earth's history. From the first stone tool, to the first controlled fire, from the first successful hunt, to the first family gathered safely around a warm flame. Each small achievement became another step toward the remarkable species we are today. Human evolution was never a straight path. It was filled with hardships, failures, disasters, and constant challenges. There were harsh droughts that emptied rivers, ice ages that covered vast lands, volcanic eruptions that changed entire landscapes, powerful predators that hunted our ancestors every single day. Yet humanity endured, not because our ancestors were the biggest, not because they were the fastest, but because they never stopped learning. They adapted to every challenge. They worked together. They cared for one another. And they passed their knowledge from one generation to the next. That simple act of sharing knowledge became humanity's greatest superpower. Over countless generations, curiosity drove discovery. Discovery inspired innovation. Innovation transformed survival into progress. The same hands that once carved stone tools would one day build pyramids, bridges, ships, telescopes, and spacecraft. The same eyes that once searched the horizon for predators would later gaze toward the stars, asking questions about the universe itself. Today, humanity stands at a point our earliest ancestors could never have imagined. We have crossed oceans, climbed the world's highest mountains, explored the deepest parts of the sea, walked on the moon, sent robotic explorers across the solar system. Our journey did not end with the rise of civilization. In many ways, it has only just begun. For millions of years, evolution shaped humanity through nature. Harsh climates, dangerous predators, disease, and survival determined which traits were passed from one generation to the next. But today, for the first time in history, humans are beginning to shape their own future. Science and technology have transformed our lives faster than natural evolution ever could. We have learned to cure diseases that once devastated entire populations. We communicate instantly across the globe. We travel through the skies in hours instead of walking for months. Artificial intelligence is changing the way we work. Robotics is transforming industries. Space exploration is opening the possibility of life beyond Earth. One day, future generations may build permanent cities on the moon or Mars. They may harvest resources from asteroids and travel farther into space than anyone alive today can imagine. If that happens, humanity will once again adapt to entirely new environments. Just as our ancient ancestors adapted to African savannas, our descendants may one day adapt to other worlds. Yet despite these incredible advances, some things remain unchanged. We still depend on curiosity. We still solve problems through cooperation. We still learn from one another. The same qualities that helped a small prehistoric tribe survive continue to drive human progress today. Our ancestors looked into the night sky with wonder, unable to understand the countless stars above them. Today, we use powerful telescopes to explore distant galaxies, searching for answers to questions they could never have imagined. How did the universe begin? Are we alone? What lies beyond the edge of our solar system? These questions remind us that the spirit of exploration has never disappeared. It simply evolved. The story of humankind is not only about where we came from. It is also ABO. The story of humanity has never been a story of perfection. It has always been a story of perseverance. From the very first ancestor who stood upright on the African plains, to the scientists exploring the deepest mysteries of the universe. Every generation has faced challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. And yet, humanity has always found a way forward. Our ancestors survived without cities, without machines, without modern medicine, without the knowledge we often take for granted today. They relied on observation, on courage, on cooperation, and on an unbreakable determination to protect the next generation. Those simple values became the foundation of everything that followed. As thousands of generations passed, people learned to build stronger communities. They created cultures, traditions, languages, and beliefs that connected families across continents. Knowledge spread from parents to children, from teachers to students, from one civilization to another. Every discovery became the starting point for an even greater one. The wheel led to transportation. Writing preserved history. Mathematics unlocked engineering. Astronomy revealed the movement of the heavens. Medicine saved countless lives. Science transformed imagination into reality. Today, humanity has reached an extraordinary moment in its journey. We can explore the deepest oceans, study the smallest particles of matter, observe galaxies billions of light years away, and send spacecraft beyond the boundaries of our solar system. Yet with all our achievements comes great responsibility. The same intelligence that allows us to build can also destroy. The same technology that connects the world must be used wisely. The future of humanity will not depend only on knowledge. It will depend on wisdom. Our ancestors survived because they understood something essential. No one survives alone. They shared food. They protected children. They cared for the injured. As we reach the end of this incredible journey, one question remains. What does it truly mean to be human? Is it our intelligence? Our ability to create extraordinary technology? Or is it something far deeper? Millions of years ago, our earliest ancestors walked across the wild landscapes of Africa with nothing but hope and determination. They faced hunger, powerful predators, harsh climates, and endless uncertainty. Every sunrise was a new challenge. Every sunset was a victory. They never knew that one day their descendants would build cities that touched the sky, explore the depths of the oceans, decode the secrets of DNA, or send spacecraft beyond the planets. Yet every modern achievement began with their first courageous step. The history of humankind is not simply a timeline of evolution. It is a story of resilience, a story of curiosity, a story of compassion. Again and again, our ancestors proved that survival was not about being the strongest creature on Earth. It was about adapting to change, learning from failure, working together, and refusing to give up. Those same qualities continue to define humanity today. When disaster strikes, people help strangers. When mysteries appear, scientists search for answers. When impossible dreams are imagined, explorers dare to chase them. This spirit has never disappeared. It has only grown stronger with every generation. Perhaps that is humanity's greatest achievement. Not the buildings we construct or the machines we invent, but our endless desire to understand the unknown and build a better future. The journey that began millions of years ago is still unfolding. Children born today will become the explorers, inventors, doctors, engineers, artists, and leaders of tomorrow. They will ask new questions. They will solve problems we cannot yet imagine. And they will continue the remarkable story that our earliest ancestors began on the ancient African savannas. As you look at the world, Aru, our story does not end with the present. It never has. From a moment our earliest ancestors first stood on two legs, evolution became a journey of constant change. Every generation inherited the wisdom of the last, adding new discoveries, new ideas, and new dreams to the growing legacy of humankind. Imagine standing on the African plains millions of years ago. A small family gathers around a glowing campfire. Children listen as the elders describe dangerous predators, distant rivers, and the stars above them. They have no idea that one day their descendants will cross oceans, climb mountains, build towering cities, or explore the vastness of space. Yet everything begins here. Every invention, every civilization, every scientific breakthrough, every masterpiece of art, every act of courage, it all traces back to these early pioneers who refused to surrender to the harsh world around them. As thousands of generations passed, humanity learned to shape the earth in remarkable ways. Great civilizations rose along mighty rivers. Engineers built roads, bridges, and monuments that still inspire the world. Scholars unlocked the mysteries of mathematics and astronomy. Doctors searched for ways to heal the sick. Inventors transformed impossible dreams into reality. Each generation stood on the shoulders of those who came before. That is the true power of humanity. Not just intelligence, but the ability to pass knowledge forward. Unlike any other known species, humans preserve ideas across generations. Books, stories, education, science, and technology allow us to build upon the achievements of our ancestors instead of starting over. Because of this, human progress has accelerated beyond anything nature alone could have imagined. Today, we hold incredible power. We can communicate across the globe in seconds. We can observe galaxies billions of light years away. We can study the smallest building blocks of life itself. But with such power come, our incredible journey began millions of years ago. With a single step, a small group of early humans walked across the vast African wilderness, unaware that they were beginning the greatest story ever told. They had no maps, no written language, no knowledge of the future, only the instinct to survive and the courage to move forward. Generation after generation, they faced impossible challenges. They survived devastating droughts that turned rivers into dust. They endured freezing ice ages that transformed the landscape. They escaped deadly predators that hunted them every single day. They crossed mountains, rivers, forests, and endless plains in search of a better life. Many never reached their destination, but their children did, and those children continued the journey. That is how humanity has always moved forward, not through the strength of one individual, but through the perseverance of countless generations. Every discovery became a gift to the future. The first stone tool, the first controlled fire, the first successful hunt, the first shelter, the first words, the first communities. Each achievement became another foundation upon which civilization would one day rise. Thousands of generations later, humanity transformed the impossible into reality. We learned to farm the land. We built great cities. We sailed across oceans. We explored the skies. We unlocked the secrets of medicine, science, and technology. We walked on the moon. We sent robotic explorers beyond the planets. And today, we continue searching for answers hidden among the stars. Yet despite everything we have accomplished, our greatest strength has never changed. It is our ability to adapt, to learn, to cooperate, to imagine a future that does not yet exist. The same curiosity that inspired our ancestors to follow distant animal tracks now inspires scientists to search for life beyond Earth. The same determination that once helped families survive. Long before the first human walked the Earth, long before the first stone tool was shaped, long before the first fire illuminated the darkness, our story had already begun. It began not with humanity, but with the planet itself. More than 4.5 billion years ago, the young Earth was a violent world of molten rock, endless volcanic eruptions, toxic skies, and constant asteroid impacts. There were no oceans, no forests, and certainly no life. It was a planet struggling to survive its own birth. Over millions of years, the surface slowly cooled. Rain fell for ages, filling vast basins that became the first oceans. The atmosphere changed. The Earth became calmer. And then, in those ancient seas, something extraordinary happened. The very first simple life forms appeared. Tiny microscopic organisms, invisible to the naked eye, began using sunlight as a source of energy. They slowly released oxygen into the atmosphere, transforming a hostile world into one capable of supporting complex life. This process took hundreds of millions of years, but changed everything. As oxygen levels increased, new forms of life evolved. Simple organisms became more complex. Fish filled the oceans. Plants spread across the land. Towering forests covered the continents. Insects buzzed through the air. Then came the reptiles, and eventually, the mighty dinosaurs ruled the Earth for over 160 million years. They seemed unstoppable. Gigantic predators dominated the land. Massive herbivores thundered across ancient plains. The world belonged to them. But nature is always changing. Around 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck Earth with unimaginable force. The impact triggered global wildfires, earthquakes, towering tsunamis, and years of darkness. The age of the dinosaurs came to an end. Yet from that catastrophe came a new opportunity. Small mammals that had lived in the shadows began to thrive. Over millions of years, they diversified in account. The story of humanity has always been one of transformation. From the first uncertain footsteps across the African savannas to the towering cities that illuminate our world today, every chapter has been shaped by courage, curiosity, and the relentless desire to survive. But what happens next? If our ancestors could somehow see the modern world, they would hardly believe their eyes. They would witness machines flying through the sky, ships crossing entire oceans in days, people speaking instantly across continents, robots performing complex tasks, powerful computers solving problems in seconds, and humans reaching beyond Earth itself. To them, it would seem like magic. Yet every one of these achievements began with a simple act of curiosity millions of years ago. Today, humanity stands at another turning point. Artificial intelligence is transforming how we learn, create, and discover. Medical science is helping people live longer and healthier lives. Renewable energy is changing how we power our civilization. Astronomers continue searching the universe for planets that may resemble our own. Perhaps one day, the descendants of today's children will build permanent settlements on the moon. Perhaps they will walk across the dusty valleys of Mars. Perhaps they will send spacecraft to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. And perhaps they will become the first humans to reach another star. But no matter how far we travel, we must never forget where we came from. The courage of our earliest ancestors still lives within us. The same determination that helped them survive droughts, predators, and freezing winters now drives scientists to cure diseases, engineers to solve impossible problems, and explorers to push beyond every known frontier. The future will bring challenges unlike any before. Climate change, resource management, new technologies, space exploration, and questions we have not yet imagined. The answers will require As our journey through millions of years of human evolution comes to a close, one extraordinary truth remains. Every person alive today is the result of an unbroken chain of survival stretching back through countless generations. Think about it. Every ancestor who faced hunger, every family that survived a harsh winter, every child protected from danger, every discovery, every sacrifice, every act of courage made your existence possible. If even one generation had failed, the story would have ended there. But it didn't. Against impossible odds, humanity endured. Our ancestors crossed scorching deserts beneath relentless suns. They climbed rugged mountains in search of safer lands. They crossed dangerous rivers filled with predators. They survived volcanic eruptions, ice ages, floods, droughts, and changing climates. Each challenge made them stronger. Each generation became wiser than the one before. This is the greatest inheritance humanity has ever received. Not wealth or power, but the ability to adapt. That ability transformed frightened groups of hunter-gatherers into builders of civilizations. It inspired the first farmers, the first sailors, the first astronomers, the first physicians, the first inventors, and eventually the scientists, engineers, explorers, and dreamers who continue shaping our future today. The story of evolution is not simply about physical change. It is the story of knowledge passed from one mind to another. It is the story of families protecting the next generation. It is the story of cooperation overcoming fear. When we study our ancient ancestors, we are not looking at strangers. We are looking at ourselves. Their hopes became our future. Their struggles became our strength. Their curiosity became our greatest gift. Today, humanity faces new frontiers. Artificial intelligence, deep-sea exploration, genetic medicine, space travel, the search for life beyond Earth. These challenges may